Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do section 6. We're going to start with the crankshaft. We're going to be installing it. We're going to be installing our piston. We're going to be installing our valve back into the cylinder head. Okay. The first thing we got to do is we got to make sure this is clean, okay, dust free, and we're going to have to lubricate it. Okay. So we're going to take our oil can. We're going to do it over a garbage can here. Okay. And a few pumps there. Just give it a little bit of oil, not a lot, just like that. And that should be enough oil. We're going to move that around, lubricate it. The purpose of the oil is going to aid in installation, and it also cleans too any sort of dust there. Now, to reinstall the crankshaft, you can see the seal that's here on this engine block. You got to be careful with this seal. If I poke it out, it's going to come out of place, and then the oil is going to leak out when the engine's running. So you got to slide it in, be gentle about it, make sure it seats in, and then we have our nut. Remember I told you, put your nuts all back where they belong. Okay, we'll just put it on there just by hand for now, so that it doesn't get lost. Okay. All right, that's our crankshaft. Make sure it moves freely, spins freely. Next, we're going to take the same oil, and we're going to lubricate the cylinder wall. Okay. So the cylinder wall is the main hole. The cylinder is the main big hole in the engine block. So what we need to do, you need to lubricate that. And you're going to have to use your fingers and spread the oil around there as if you were to spread butter on a piece of toast as it came out of the toaster. Okay? And again, that does two things. Lubricates the cylinder wall for initial startup. It cleans the inside of the cylinder wall as well. Okay? So here we have our piston. We're going to install the piston. Make sure we take our bearing cap off. So I take my nuts back off and my bolts back off. And you see the arrow, it has to be pointing down on this engine here. Okay? Very important. And I got to lubricate it as well. If you lubricate it, it slides in a heck of a lot easier. Remember, we're doing this over a garbage can because it's going to drip a little bit and I don't feel like cleaning up a mess. Okay guys, so we're going to put our piston back in. Before we do that, we have these things called piston rings. And the piston rings, they're rings like you would wear rings on your fingers, but they're on the piston and they're larger than the cylinder diameter. And you can see here that they compress, they get smaller. Okay? So we need to compress these as we slide it in the cylinder, and that's what this tool is for. It's called a piston ring compressor. And how we install it, as I slide my piston with the heavy side down, make sure the arrow's pointing down, in the cylinder. Okay, you can see there that it stops right at the piston rings. I won't go any further. So I'll grab my piston ring compressor, I slide it over there and bring the piston up a little bit. I can hold it from the bottom half here. And now what I have here is a tightening tool, and what it does is it ratchets. And what it does is it squeezes the piston rings so that they can slide in. Okay, there we go. So I've squeezed them. Make sure it's nice and snug. Okay, make sure the arrow is pointing 100% down. Now you can see here how the arrow is pointing 100% down. Okay, and now I'm not going to push that with my fingers. I'm going to use a hammer. I'm going to use the handle and I'm going to push that down like so. So I'm going to hold the bottom half. Oh, there we go, turned on me. There we go, it went right in smoothly because it was nicely lubricated. I had the piston ring compressor nicely slugged down and it went right in.